Oh, let's make sure my phone's on silent.
Oh, mine's always on silent, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but nobody ever calls, so it's just by default it is on silent. It's a silent phone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3T RPG podcast, a tabletop role-playing podcast. I'm Harrison Blunt, and with me is Sean Hunt.
Go on in.
And of course, we've got James Clark. He's hidden behind a screen currently because we're trying a new recording setup, which is ridiculous.
I'm in hiding for several reasons. Can't tell you.
About time. Today we've got a show and a quarter for you because coming up we've got feedback, news punch, what are you slaying, and we've got the main subject, which is going to be how to bring a campaign to a satisfying conclusion. And then we're going to do a new item, RPG death metal karaoke, followed by your electro letters. Is everyone ready to get fucking crazy?
Well, I'm not sure about crazy, but I'm definitely ready.
Is everyone to get mildly excited then?
I'm ready to get ready.
My excitement is tempered.
Nice. Alright, feedback.
The feedback side. The feedback side. Yes, bitch, the feedback side. It's the feedback section. Yeah, we take your comments and read them out. Yeah, feedback, bitch.
Shane Gregory, he says, "Hi, loving the podcast." Look, I'm just assuming he talks like this because he plays RPGs. Hi, loving the podcast. Will you be doing an episode on your thoughts about the OGL 1.1 fracas? Hashtag OpenD&D, hashtag OGL. Never do a hashtag in a feedback again. Yeah, we are going to talk about it today. A bit sick of it, but we are going to talk about it. We're going to wait till the news, Shane Gregory. And also, if you haven't listened to the other episodes where we talked about it, where the fuck have you been? Alright? Hashtag listen. Am I right?
I think you responded to that.
Yeah, probably. Cheers, Shane. Next feedback. Last episode we talked about Racial Holy War, of course, one of the greatest RPGs ever made.
Bless.
Bless.
It would be. It might be if it was finished, but
if it was finished and not racist, yeah. But yeah, we got feedback from a man calling himself Bum Conga Cultist of Sean. He says, "Love the hard-hitting journalism in the last episode, gang. Glad to find out that James is annoying and a communist." Yeah. So in Racial Holy War, all of the different races were sort of given their own sort of attributes. For example, they said black people were smelly and the Asian people are annoying and communist, which they got off lightly, I believe.
Yeah.
But James, it is annoying, but I don't think you're a communist.
Not that you know.
Not that we know. But I have seen some strange red flags in his house with a hammer and sickle on them, and he does occasionally speak Russian, so...
Da!
See? I knew it!
That's also a metaphorical red flag as well, if you got those red flags in your house.
That's a good point, yeah. If you've got a red flag like a Nazi or a communist thing, that is a red flag. Maybe that's where the saying comes from. Let us know, listeners. Killed the Gregses. He says, "It's beyond funny that a white supremacist RPG chose what is effectively an inbred water brain to be on the cover of the game. He's white and bald. Good enough." That's what he says. Because, of course, on Racial Holy War, they stole the artwork from... was it The Hills Have Eyes? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
See, I was going to mention this, but I've never seen the film. I thought it was about inbreds. But, yeah, so they've actually... I mean, it's pretty accurate, though, isn't it? Because probably a lot of the people that made Racial Holy War are themselves inbreds. They probably see Hills Have Eyes as like a sort of heroic story of their people. But yeah, that is extremely funny. But yeah, go and listen to the episode if you haven't already. Got a lot of positive, a lot of negative reviews from a lot of Hitler types, but other than that, it's very good. Good RPG, 10 out of 10. That is it for feedback this time, lads. Shall we do some news? Yeah. News punch. Wizards of the Coast takes back changes to OGL. Loads of people do their own one. So, I'm really hoping this is going to be the last time we have to speak about the OGL, because to be honest with you, it is interesting, but I'm fucking bored of it. And everyone has said their own shit on it, but we'll just cover this and then that's it. If anything else happens, well, we'll probably end up covering it as well, but I'll just do it sort of begrudgingly. So in a statement that is essentially the I'm not sexist but of corporate press releases, Wizards of the Coast announced that they are taking back all the changes to the OGL recently. If you don't know about this, just Google it because I'm not going over it again. The statement basically says that they were going to they were doing it to keep an eye on the content to ensure that no dodgy shit was being released. But we know that's not true. Anyway, Paizo and Free League are now releasing their own OGL now to allow people to freely use their systems to create whatever content they want. But I suppose everyone is realising now how easy it would be for Wizards of the Coast to, actually change it and just take that away. So loads of people are making their own ones, which is a good thing, obviously. But Critical Role released a statement about this, and while I usually wouldn't care, it is mildly funny because Critical Role, right? Everyone knows they're sort of SJW types, and Matt Mercer once... I think somebody, I don't know what the original tweet is, but he responded to somebody saying because they were anti-SJW, right? And he said, I hope that you can get the therapy you so sorely need. It's like, you've got a view different to mine, you're clearly mentally ill. But yeah, anyway, so he, in the statement, Critical Role said that the OGL brings diversity to gaming, right? Which it does, because it allows a lot of new ideas and new takes on D&D, and I'm all for the OGL, obviously. But now, once again, with it being completely open and away from the prying eyes of Wizards of the Coast, it will mean that for every Middle-earth role-playing and original adventures reincarnated, we're going to get Nazi furry RPGs for 6th edition, or Rape the Game, using the OGL, and I can't wait for Matt Mercer to really change his mind on this one, do you know what I mean? Because right now, he's like, it allows everyone to make products, whether black, white, or blue. And it's like, yeah, everyone does include people that you think need therapy. So let's just wait and see.
It was quite funny, though, because the OGL was very anti-consumer and stuff like that.
The new one was, yeah. The old one, very much not.
Yeah, the 1.1. It was very anti-consumer. And yesterday, Wizards of the Coast released an apology.
Yeah, they did.
For the bad week of press.
Yeah, they did. And it was essentially just them going on and on about how they were doing it for you. And it's like, no, you won't. You were trying to make more money out of it. Let's just be honest with ourselves.
Of course it's true. I think that's what they're doing.
Well, the trouble is, what they need to do, really, if I was being a corporate arsehole, which I am, right, then what they needed to do was implement the new OGL, but make it seem like something that the players wanted to do. Make it seem like it was their choice all along. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, because at this point, there's nothing consumer friendly about it. But if they changed it to say, oh yeah, once you get to a certain amount of pay, you'll be with us and have a free consultation or shit like this, people would be all over it. But at the moment, it's so anti-consumer that there's no way anyone was going to take that shit.
But that's because they're not smart.
They aren't. They call themselves Wizards of the Coast, but they're low intelligence wizards. They've only got one spell at level 1.
Yeah.
That's a good joke, isn't it?
Oui.
Either way, OGL good, Wizards of the Coast bad, so don't use their one, jump ship, make ship for Pathfinder or whatever. That's I think, the solution, right? Because Paizo are doing their own one, right? As much as Pathfinder 2 is not something anyone wanted, it's got some good ideas in there. And it could be used to make good shit. And also the Mutant Year Zero one. Sean, you've got some problems with the Year Zero system in general, and people could improve it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
to be fair.
So I think more people should do this. I think what would be really cool is if we're DCC is pretty open anyway because it uses the OGL, but there'll be some Savage Worlds OGL. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Well, Savage Worlds are actually joining Pathfinder.
What?
In Paizo's OGL.
Are they?
Yeah, that's what they're supporting.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. But anyway, that is it for news today. Right, the OGL.
Wait, can I add something else about that?
Well, you want to add something to the agenda?
Yeah.
Excuse me, mate, we're going to have to go through the PAs.
You're going to have to wait till point 7. Can I add anything to the agenda?
Alright. James, as the HR, can I add anything to the agenda?
HR, mate? I'm not HR.
He's public relations, mate.
I'm OGL.
Yeah, go on then. Quickly.
Right.
If you're going to say something I've already said, right, just bear in mind that this will be the last time you ever do any podcast ever again. I'll make sure.
The pressure is high. But no, so I think that they went back on 1.1. And not for the fans, as they stated, but because of the sheer amount of lawsuits they would have gotten themselves into.
How do you mean, though? How would they have gotten themselves in lawsuit?
For example, like the Lord of the Rings.
Like people that have already published stuff, but underneath it, and then wanted to do new versions. They might have just said, well, you know.
Well, they wanted to take a cut. Like they were saying, the anything under the old OGL would be covered now as well, and they were just going to go and take 25%.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. I see what you mean. Yeah, because they would. Because legally, you could make the argument that you were using the old OGL. So as a result, it would be like, yeah, there could be a lot of legal trouble. I think it's that. I don't think they were doing it for the fans. I think they were doing it mainly because of the incredible backlash, and they'd known they'd made a bloody stupid mistake, basically. But I'm pleased with it. I'm pleased that pleased that they're fucking off with it. And yeah, Wizards of the Coast, I hope you die. Not the people, just the company. Come on,
just the coast,
just the coast,
not the Wizards.
Maybe
imagine the Battle of Normandy. Because that was on a coast, wasn't it? Like that, but the Wizards of the Coast offices getting stormed.
There may have been some wizards about popping.
Who knows? You know, history was not very well recorded at the time. No, it very much was. Should we do what we've been slaying?
Yeah.
Number 1 on the list, we've got Fight Tits.
Have one of these! Oi, yeah? What you slaying?
So we've been playing Fight Tits.
Wait, Fight Tits?
No, we haven't. We've been playing Mutant Core Classics. It's good. Sean, do you want to explain what the fuck is going on with you and eating at other people's houses, right? Because that was that was ridiculous. The amount of mess, right? No, in fact, we'll get to this. We've been playing Mutant Core Classics. People want to hear about the game, but we'll get to that, Sean. And that is way more important than the game, because you're a slob. You're a slob and a fat idiot.
I didn't mean to, you know.
I didn't mean to.
We'll get to that. Mutant Core Classics.
Jimmy Savile didn't mean to molest those kids, but did he?
He did.
No, he did. He did it very much on purpose, yes. So Mutant Core Classics, yeah, this is my current RPG game that I'm running, and it is, of course, a sandbox type thing where the guys are the last humanoid creatures in the world. They live in a village called Dry River, which is a mysterious electric fence bordering it, left there by the Ancient Ones. And these guys are warders, which means that they are the people that get to roam outside of the village to help the village in certain ways, and so on and so on. So last game, with character-wise, we've got Sean. He's playing a sort of tanky character with Mind Blast abilities. He's a mutant called Unit Truck Ton. James is Ranchid, who is essentially a Pokemon. He's a 9-tailed raccoon with electric powers and flight abilities.
Yeah, I didn't choose it on purpose.
But it worked out that way, and I like it. We've also got Tomasin, who's the last character, Tobuscus. He is playing a Plantian called Frankie, who is sentient mold that can regenerate. And yeah, these guys sort of had a look at the notice board and wanted to accept some quests, and they went ahead and did this one. These two kids, unbeknownst to their parents, had left the village. These two mutant kids, one with a giant hand, one with a pair of vestigial wings. They'd left the village without the knowledge of their parents and found this toy shop. But once they thought, because all of the people in this universe, they refer to the old, the race that was like on the planet before these guys got there, as the Ancient Ones, before the disaster, I should say. And so all of the guys, they went to these little kids. They saw this toy shop and they thought, oh, it's idols of the Ancient Ones. They're probably deeply religious in some way, and we want one. And they wanted a Sailor Moon one specifically. Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, it happened to be a Funko Pop factory, a toy shop called the Funko Factory. And these guys had to go there and try and get one of these, because these kids had snuck out and seen that they wanted that one, but they got scared away by something they called a ghost, and drew the player characters a really crude map, which I actually used crayons to draw. Yeah, so they had to go there and get a Sailor Moon thing, and obviously we've been doing overland travel over the map. I'm marking off days, keeping strict time, and talking about food and things like this. So it's survival, travel, it's all completely based on what these guys want to do, basically. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff that happened. I mean, they fought a rust monster out in the car park there. They fucking they got attacked by snakes at one point. They saw a weird hologram man calling himself Christos. These were the sort of random encounters. But once they got to the actual place, what was pretty funny is there was this rust monster sort of attacking them, and they knew they didn't want to deal with it because it was going to destroy their equipment. So they flipped it the fuck over during a dramatic task, and then they got up to the door of the Funko factory, which you had to pay a single US dollar to get in. Of course, US dollars haven't been a currency for 12,000 years in this universe. So, Unit Truck Ton, Sean's massive character, goes up and just punches the bill eating machine that lets you in. Gets a bunch of dollars out and then just fed one back in.
Yeah, the bottom part where all the money gets kept, isn't it? Just punched it.
I thought that was pretty clever because you were like, clearly there's going to be some in there. If the machine's still standing, the money in there's going to be in good nick. So
sadly, not a reflection of what happened next, anyway. But
well, the thing is, we had a lot of bad rolls that night, didn't we? No fumbles, but a lot of sort of really shit middling rolls. Now, they get inside. There's one entrance. The other one's been completely destroyed. There's all rubble in front of it. They get inside, and the first section that they see is the anime and TV section, right? And there's a bunch of old zombies, ghouls, like milling around that were obviously shopping at the time of the disaster, and they're all wearing sort of anime and Sailor Moon outfits. And as they come in, the zombies look at them and go, "Nani?" But yeah, it was pretty great. James, you went straight into the vent.
Yep, well, I just flew up, went to the vent, hid out, but also did attack them from the vent, which was pretty cool.
It was really good. But yeah, so because you can fly, and obviously this is one of those like middle of nowhere Toys R Us type places, so the ceiling's very high. James's character, the raccoon, flies into the vent and then has a look around. He goes to the other side of the vent and sees that there's a Wizarding World, like Harry Potter section. Goes back to the guys, but the guys are like fighting these zombies, and it all went really tits up after a certain point because essentially Sean's character, one of his mutant abilities is that he can grow and shrink in size, and he got an incredible roll on it, right? Like a 24. And
he grew way too big.
That's the problem. I said to Sean, I was like, do you want to go small or big? I didn't read out the entry. But it was either he grows to 25 feet tall or 3 inches in size.
Yeah, but my plan was to grow a little bit bigger, then grab onto the next level of the building, and then
which would be the roof.
Yeah, which would have been the roof. So that would have been good. And then as I was going up with Frankie grabbing onto me, I would have shrunk. It would have been like Mr. Fantastic from
yeah. So you would have got the mold to cling to you, then you shrink back up to normal size and all of this, right? It was a good idea. But unfortunately, that's the fun of MCC, right? It's that the mutations, they work like spells. Every time you use one, you roll on a table, right? Some will let you pick a lower result, but not all of them do. And in this case, Sean just grew to a huge size, smashed open the roof of the building, and of course, him being the biggest target, all the zombies went for his huge legs that were poking through the floor. And they started attacking you. You went down, nearly fell on one of your colleagues, thankfully didn't, and went down twice, losing 2 permanent points of stamina. And in the end, the guys sorted out the zombie. Well, I say the guys, James, it was you.
Well, yeah.
You've got the best mutation. Tell me about how you killed the zombs.
Well, most of the zombies got killed with my electrogasm. That's not what it's called, but it should be.
I'm gonna cross it out in the book and rename it.
Yeah. Well, essentially, yeah, I was doing a lot of sort of range-based attacks and just electrocuting them like Pikachu.
Yeah, because he was up in the vent, so he was out of reach. But his electrical arcs, they got quite a good range on him. So essentially, he just went into the vent where he was in absolute safety, blasted him with electricity. Now, rolling high on that table, it means that he can generate electricity and generate like 4 pulses, right? So that's 2d6 damage. Or 3, whatever, going towards a number of targets. So there were 6 zombies, and of course 2 of them got killed just normally, and then the rest of them, it was just like electrical generation, and bam, like just hit loads of them.
Zap, zap, zap.
It was well good. And in the end, what they did is they because they were battered, Sean was on 1 HP, and actually I think the other 2 were alright, but you guys went up to the roof and actually did Sean's plan in the end and just went up there and decided to rest, and that's where we left the game. Now, it sounds like not a lot happened, but then there was a lot that was happening whilst exploring, and I don't necessarily think that all of that is worth telling, but It was pretty good. One of my favourite bits, though, was that I rolled a random encounter and there's this hologram bloke called Christos, and he's talking a lot of weird, vague shit when the guys stumble on him in the jungle while they're looking for this fucking toy shop. And he talks about a high-rise building, and he tells Sean that if he ever goes to that place, he's like, can you just let them know that Christos said stop reading that damn book and all this stuff. But anyway, he said that he was going to give Sean, he tried to feel out his religious and ideological beliefs, right, to try and see if he was worthy of a prize of something. He knew where an artifact of the Ancient Ones was. So he's like, so who do you worship? And their tribe, of course, they worship this thing called the Yaldabaoth, which is like an ancient planetary defense system built into the Earth itself. It's like their god, right? And this guy's not up for that. In fact, he hates people that worship that. But Sean's like, oh yeah, I love the Yaldabaoth. That guy's cool. And Christos looks disappointed, and Sean goes, I hate that guy. I'm like, okay, all right, give me a personality roll, but it's going to have to be, because there's a dice chain in DCC and MCC, so it's like, it's going to have to be, you're rolling with a D14 here, and you're going to need a good roll. It didn't work, obviously. The guy disappeared, and then they went on to the toy shop. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, and it's been nice doing the exploration, because it wasn't all. It wasn't just here's the route to get there. It was a bit like these guys were trying to feel it out for themselves, and it ended up working out in the end. But they spent the first three travel phases, so an entire day, sort of really going in the wrong direction and getting attacked by acid spitting snakes. Oh, what was cool though, we need to talk about mutations.
Yes.
So the Children of the Glow, which is these guys' tribe, they get a +5 to all mutation checks, right? Which is actually amazing for this game, because they're part of that tribe. But the only thing is if they ever see a chance to irradiate themselves further and possibly get mutations, then they have to take it. That's part of their religion. They worship radiation.
Yeah.
So fucking, of course, these guys find a puddle of radiation and all of them jump in. James, you basically just took damage from it 3 times.
Yeah, I was unlucky but lucky at the same time, because I didn't get
a
defect at all, but I took 3 lots worth of damage because I was really trying to get a new mutation.
You were sitting in it for quite some time.
Yeah.
Ranchid, the fucking mould guy, he got carapace, so now he's got an AC of 17, which is amazing. Frankie, that's him, yeah, Frankie. What did I say?
Ranchid.
Oh, that's your character, yes,
yeah.
Frankie. So, but Sean went in there, he rolls on, he gets a mutation, rolls on the physical mutations. Now, what you don't want to get on a D100 is a 1 or a 2, because what that means is you're going to get a defect instead, which is bad, right? Now, he got enlarged body part, and everyone was joking around the table. They were like, he's going to have a massive cock. And then, of course, Sean rolled on the table for enlarged body part, and the entry just says he's very popular with members of the opposite sex.
To be fair, like, it's probably the one that you want to get because it doesn't.
It's the only one that doesn't affect you badly.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you a bonus, but it gives you a bonus.
You need to be closer to your mic.
Oh, my legs are like here.
Yeah, but you can
the
lean.
mic.
If you lean.
Oh,
Well, that doesn't need to be out.
kept falling out of my pocket, innit? There we go.
That sounds way better already.
All right. So, but yeah, Sean, we did joke about it obviously at the table when we were saying. So now Sean's character, this is canon. He's got a cock so big it goes right down to his ankle, right? And it's pretty fat. But the funny thing is, we were talking about it. We were talking about, well, what if you're a woman and what happens? And you're saying, is it just a cavernous vagina? But of course, the entry does not say that. It doesn't say you get a massive dongus.
Yeah.
It just means you're popular. So in the case of a lady, it might just be giant tits or an extra tit.
Ah, super boob.
Super boob. So yeah, Sean, you got probably the only not bad defect in the entire game.
I think that's the only time it's ever going to happen.
Well, to be fair, you were saved by the +5 on the mutation checks, because if you roll on that table, you add a +5, you're going towards the better results, right? So he happened to get a 20 or over, which is that's the only good one on that table. Otherwise, you might get a massive hand and it gives you a -2 agility checks or something like this.
Annoying.
So you're lucky,
Or
very
a fat
lucky.
leg or something, isn't it?
Yeah, fat leg, so you move slower, like things like this. Or you might get one tiny leg. Oh no, but you got an enlarged body part. But yeah, you can. Those are things that can happen. The thing is as well, every time you use a mutation, you get the potential to lose it if it goes completely wrong, if you get a fumble. Additionally, if you get a fumble when you're doing a mutation check, that's just, you just get a defect or lose a mutation or something like this. So you guys were lucky. You were very lucky. The only thing is, I changed the rule a little bit to if you survive a very difficult fortitude save, you will get a mutation, rather than what it is before, is that if you come into contact with radiation, you have to roll a 20 to get a new mutation. I just think that's too rare to be fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, otherwise you're just going to get...
You're just going to die.
Yeah.
Trouble is with radiation, it doesn't really turn you into a superhero like Marvel would have you believe. The only thing you're going to get if you get in contact with radiation is you'll become coughing up blood man or something. So,
yeah. Or an engorged penis.
Yeah, engorged cock. So that's that. But Mutant Crawl Classics, how are you guys enjoying it, James?
Well, I love it because it's DCC, but it's mutant version. And it's just really nice and refreshing to be playing an enjoyable, basically DCC, but like a different spin on it. Because I really like that system, and it's really familiar to me, so it's really nice for me to be able to...
Well, that was what was funny about the session, was that during the... you kept on quoting rules from DCC, which...
Yeah.
Do apply, just not to mutant characters. And I was just like, mate, you know this system so much better than I think you even knew. It's like, it was amazing. But yeah, Sean, how do you like it?
Yeah, I agree with James. No, no, it's really nice to play something that's like, very much like we're like pitted against everything. You know, we got to build up our defences. It's like very survivally. There's like we like get to pick missions and stuff, but not only that, like, you know, DCC and MCC, like, nice, like, meaty old school systems in it.
I agree, and I feel like they it's not simple to the point of Morkborg where it's really more done for short campaigns. This campaign, like Sean, you originally wanted to go for a tank, but at this point, Frankie, the fun guy, Mold Man, he's more of the tank because he got the carapace. You're more of a mix between a mage and a tank at the moment, but characters are going to change all the time.
I might surpass him, but then again, I could, you know, I mean, I might have a discussion with him, see if he wants to go for a tank, I don't want to be like trying to out tank him all the time.
Yeah, but then again, his character's going to change at some point. You know what I mean? If he ends up with less mutations in the end, or if his carapace goes away, you never know. You don't know what's going to happen.
No.
And it also depends on how you play your character. Like you're using your size up ability quite a lot. But then again, you've also got the Mind Blast.
And I've got a huge axe as well. I mean, the Mind Blast is good because I wanted to have sort of a nice couple of range things, you know.
Yeah, that is a very good one. I mean, he caused the snake to explode by destroying its mind. So that's pretty fucking good. But yeah, that's it for MCC. I mean, we the one thing we do need to talk about is the pistachio situation.
Oh my god.
So just to paint a picture for you lads, we got to a decent point where the guys had finally got to the toy factory. And that was usually where we take a break, about an hour and a half in, right? And Sean's... so suddenly Sean is at the table and he just goes... like this. And it turns out he was eating a pistachio and some of the husk went to the back of his throat.
It wasn't the husk, it was just like, you know, the bit around the actual nuts.
The sort of skin bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was such a mad sound. It's just like...
It literally sounded like a cat like choking on a hair. It was like... It was the fact there was 3 in a row as well.
It was like well lodged in my throat though. It's like it went sideways into my throat.
But anyway, he moves. Then James points out, he goes, look at where Sean was sitting. And there was just skins and all of this shit.
It was like, unbelievable.
It was ridiculous. Like, and we're not talking like there was a couple of crumbs. It was... the floor was fucking caked in it.
It was like, you know when you peel a bunch of pistachios all at once? Imagine if you poured that bowl out and then
all over the floor, like literally like a 1.5 meter radius around Sean, like of just pistachio skins.
I've got all the shells in the bowl though. I was doing like,
wow, well done.
Do you want to?
You didn't get them all in the bowl, Sean. You missed a few.
Yeah, you actually didn't. For starters, you didn't.
I had
right?
a 6 streak.
Shut up.
And then like that ended.
I had a 6 streak of like getting something in a bowl that was directly in front of me. It was going really well.
Yeah, but I was doing,
but
like,
then what was the worst thing is, shut up. You went out. No, you wait.
Like Like, there's a mystery though. Like, why was there mess beneath me? You know.
What are you talking about? Because that's where you were sitting, you fucking...
Yeah, I know, but...
But
like,
how did it get beneath the
but
chair?
I ate all the...
Is this Sean's conspiracy corner?
Yes,
Are you
it's
gonna
back.
Are you gonna say it's aliens? Is that what it is?
Just like I ate all the nuts. I threw all the shells in the bowl. Right. So why was there mess underneath? What was that about?
So, in addition to that, though, one thing we noticed, which we haven't told you yet, right, Sean, was that as you then went outside,
You had a crisp. Yeah, you picked up a crisp and ate it.
and then half the crisp was on the floor. Immediately after. And the GM, the host, Tobuscus, we were at his house. He had to get the Hoover out. It was that bad. It just was ridiculous. And then fucking you came back from the break, right? And Sean was eating a pistachio, went to go and put the shell in the bin, and he had his back to us, and we just heard him go, yow. What was that?
I accidentally ate half a husk.
He put the shell in his mouth. I mean, what is wrong with you, man? How many beers did you have had up to that point? Ciders?
Only 2 actually. So
Only 2. That's too many.
That makes it worse. That makes it worse.
Too many.
Right, you're banned from drinking and eating.
yeah, that's
And living.
Not even just at the game. I mean, in general. And living.
sorry.
that
that was like in about
Yow.
a space of 15 minutes actually as well.
But it wasn't though, because that was about an hour and a half's worth of pistachio build-up.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I brought them out quite early. Chucked the bowl on there to be, tidy. And then Sean comes about. Fuck being tidy.
The idea that you're proud that you got most of the shells into a bowl. I got most of the shells into a bowl. All right.
I don't mean to not be tidy, just to...
We know. It's
You
a nice little...
You know when we're finished, when I host here, Millie always comes in. She goes, "Was Sean sitting there then?" There's just a ring of like crisp dust and chocolate, and I don't know how you manage it, man.
I don't know.
Millie said the other day. She was like, "See, this is why, Sean, you got to learn the rules of the game, because otherwise you're going to be out of the game." And what she meant by that was like, you're always going to be single if you don't manage to. Imagine if you're going on a date with a lady, right?
Yeah,
or a bloke, and they pull out a bowl of pistachios. Good food for a date, right? And also, like, a lot of dates take place at the cinema, and the way Sean eats popcorn is
Oh my God.
is foul.
He grabs a fistful
He
and then
grabs a
tries
fistful
to
and sort of
shovel them in.
Yeah, he mashes it with his
Yeah,
hands,
that's
sort of
why-
pushing it into his
That's why
gullet.
I can't eat popcorn in public anymore, though, really.
Just eat it like a normal. What do you mean? There are other ways to eat popcorn,
You've got
bro.
to get the full hit of the flavour, though.
Oh, it's
Sean,
so disgusting.
Sure,
And,
take
like,
it from someone who also
only-
likes to eat like you with popcorn. Just do it in small bits. Just
Yeah.
grab
just take
like,
2 at a time.
you could do like a nice little cluster. Maybe get 4 or 5. Do them, but then do it like several times before you do your munch.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's so funny though,
Good
because
shout,
he'll get
good shout.
a load that's too big to put into his mouth in one, but instead of just eating a bit of it, he'll push the whole thing in, like, and it's just going
It's only,
because he's pushing it.
popcorn-
You're literally like that video of that woman trying to teach you how to
Grapefruit, a man's
grapefruit a man's dingus.
good.
But yeah, it's only popcorn and pistachios, really. It's just like...
Right, I'm never
That is a
bringing
damn lie.
pistachios
No,
again.
but that's a lie, though, because even when we've had Pringles or Doritos or whatever,
Oh,
the amount of
Pringles, I'm
fucking
alright.
sheets I've had to. Pringles, I'm alright. That was the very crisp that was on the floor when you went for a break.
Yeah, but...
Half a crisp, bro.
only-
How do you not notice that the fucking crisp is not in your mouth?
Only one at a time, though, which is good.
Oh, well done,
'Cause they're
well
quite-
done.
They're quite heavy on
Well, have you
flavour.
learnt please and thank you yet?
Oh my God.
So yeah, Sean.
Please shut up, thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh. So.
Yeah, right. And also, we played Hero Quest, didn't we? So
Oh my God, yes.
Sean was ill, and so we had a week off. And the one guy that
Tobuscus.
refuses to come on this podcast, he bought Hero Quest recently, so he played that. I think everyone knows really what it is, but it's a dungeon exploration board game where you fight things, and yeah, I mean it's a classic. It's from the 90s. It's very simple, but if you have a night off from your RPG, it's incredibly fun to play.
It was amazing. And I feel like it was just what we needed as well because,
I think both of us had a bit shit week.
yeah.
It's a
and-
remake as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a complete reproduction. So everything's in its I think close to its original form. I couldn't tell you, but it's beautiful. And
so Tobuscus was showing me the board just before you get into the actual box before you get into the game. For example, there's stuff like they had like sort of cardboard scenery and stuff.
no, the scenery's all plastic.
It's plastic in the new one.
Oh, was it?
It was like cardboard with artwork on it. But
Oh, it
now
was?
it's- now
Yeah.
it's 3D printed.
It's lovely and very weighty as well. But we played a session. We did the first dungeon. First of all, we went down there. And the thing is, Sean, is that if you go into a room, you open the door, right? It's not as if you make noise out in a dungeon, all the monsters are going to come attack you. If you open a door, that's when the monsters enter the game. Once you see them, basically.
And the thing is, opening doors are free action, so it doesn't spend. So you can walk. You got like say 10 spaces to use. You can walk past 3 doors and open all of them.
So the story was that I think it was that this wizard took over this fucking keep or whatever, and there's a gargoyle down there.
Yeah.
We had to go and kill the gargoyle, and of course, what we were doing was trying to be efficient. So we'd be running down hallways, opening every door on the way, looking for the gargoyle, and of course, all the monsters came out and just absolutely raped us. But James was playing a wizard, and he was gonna stay and fight, but I told him just to get the fuck out. So. You legged it valiantly, I think. And
Yeah, well, managed to survive, which meant that we had him as a party member who knows the dungeon.
and also got to keep all of the items he got. So there's no leveling; it's all item-based leveling.
Yeah, so as soon as you die, the items, mate, you're fucked.
Yeah, you do have a chance to pick them up, but only if there are no monsters in the room or something like this. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's it.
But James went back to the village with all of the gold that we had got in the dungeon and found that we couldn't even afford like a single dagger. So we just
It was abysmal.
and then so we just rolled up new characters. Well, you don't even roll them up; you just take the stats, and we just went down again. And what was cool was that because obviously you don't have to take it that seriously. It's like playing Gauntlet, Sean, like the arcade game.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. It's just killing shit. It's a lot of fun, and you're just the resolution mechanic for killing shit is really simple, and you just roll dice and you try to get more shields than they've got attacks or whatever. But the funny thing was that as we went back in, we didn't really have to take it that much more seriously because it's not really a role playing game. So our characters had ridiculous names, like yours was called Jizzard the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, something like that.
And he had a barbarian called Barbara Ian. And of course, the elf that's happened to survive the second time we did the dungeon was called Speen with about 15 E's.
Bean.
Yeah, it was good. And because it was just a game where you're just hack and slash, cutting shit up. It's a good cathartic game where you're just killing shit. And of course, James was doing a lot of stupid shit. Just not in the game, but outside of the game. And it was really cracking me up because he
I
kept
can spell on you, yeah?
yeah, that's what he kept saying. Like he was talking like a roadman the whole time. And he's like, right, I'm going to do a spell on you, fam.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up.
But yeah, it was good. It's very good, Sean. You would love it. And we
It's,
were saying that if ever
it's
we have a
banging.
week off for any reason, we're going to jump back into that and then carry on playing through the quests, basically.
Unless like Tobuscus is ill.
If Tobuscus is ill, that's a problem.
We'll just teeth it off him.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good, actually. I did consider buying it after I played it, but it is an £100. But I think for £100 you get your money's worth, especially if you're just looking at the minis.
Well, those minis, like the large ones that you put inside any of the dungeon rooms, they're really well printed because
Oh,
they
lovely.
don't do any of the hollow hatching so that they can save on materials. They do
They're
full
solid.
prints, so
Yeah.
they're heavy and they feel really nice, and they're going to last for
But
ages.
I think what speeds up the game as well is that there's no room descriptions. You just get given a mission description. You open a door and what he puts down is what's in the room. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a fucking alchemist table and 3 orcs. That's it. And you just
Yeah.
get in. You go, I attack with my other guy, move on. It's nice and simple. You would love it, Sean. Honestly, it feels like playing an old school arcade game, like or beat 'em up or something, but in a board game. So it's good.
I look forward to it.
Nice.
Yeah, you should. That is it for what we've been slaying. Shall we play Death Metal RPG Karaoke?
Yeah.
Magic missile. I'm out of mana.
Sean, you a fan of Cannibal Corpse?
Not really.
All right. Well, James.
Yeah, they're a bit of fun.
So I've been listening to them a lot recently, and what really struck me about their style, and of course, like a lot of grindcore bands are similar, is that. And he said all of the songs are about the ways in which somebody might die or be murdered, right? But the thing is that you can never understand what he's saying. It's very difficult. One of their, well, probably their biggest hit is called Hammer Smashed Face, which is a beautiful name for a song. But I really like their shit. And the thing is about it is that I realised that would be a good idea. So what I've done is I have done Cannibal Corpse style vocals over, or just grindcore style vocals over death metal backing tracks, and I've read the back of books, right? The back of RPG books. It could be an adventure, it could be an RPG. You guys have got to try and discern what the fuck I'm talking about from these. What back of a book am I reading from these clips? Are you ready?
Do we get to know what the books are before you play, or do we just got?
Well, do I tell you the answers before we play? No.
No.
That'd be
As in, give us a list of books.
Oh no!
multiple choice.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
I'm trying. This is probably the hardest quiz we're ever going to do, and you're allowed to confer. You're working as a team.
Right.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4. People born anew, a mini campaign. The text characters from never whatsoever. The village of Hamlet thrives again.
I feel like I'm going to be showing that to my therapist eventually.
I heard Bacchus and Rise Again. James, did you hear any? Did you get any other little nuggets or?
Yeah, I just heard
1, 2, 3, 4.
I had to count in, otherwise I'm not going to know the timing, right?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So what you guys? I feel like it's going to be a wild stab in the dark, really.
Hey, Sean, can you see the books? Yeah.
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 Is it one of the books on the shelf, Harrison?
Yes, because I read the back of it. Yeah. You have to guess, otherwise I will kill you. Because this is the grindcore round.
Art and Arcana.
James,
It's probably.
he's getting up to look at the
probably
bookshelf.
an RPG book, isn't it?
All right, you've got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, of course, it's an RPG book, you idiot.
Dungeon Crawl Classics.
No.
All right.
As Sean said, Art and Arcana. That was wrong. That was the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yeah,
Now-
it's a Temple of Elemental.
Correct. No, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I thought that it was enough to be able to get it. Should we do the next one?
Yes, please.
Now, really focus. Really focus.
Everyone has to fend for themselves. That's so small. You can do it. All the role in the world.
Now, what does that say about my psyche? Go on, Sean.
Morkborg.
Well, did you make out any words there, Sean? Because actually, in the first one, you said rides again, but it was thrives again. The village of Hamlet thrives again, it says on the back of I can play it again if you want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what it is.
Sean reckons he's got an answer. Go on.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, nicely done. I think you made out the word mega corporations there, didn't you?
Nice.
Yeah.
But so on the second part, I really was barely even saying the actual words because it was. But that's just fine. Something simple. I was like, it's like but I feel like I've really captured the essence of Cannibal Corpse. This is going to be the last one. Let's see if you guys can get this. So I think this is the easiest one. So are you ready?
Into the treasures and more away to in the tickle rush in the shoot tickle Bobby Evans.
Into the Borderlands.
Sean?
Yeah, same.
No, that was Tingleverse, the Chuck Tingle role-playing game. As you can hear at the end, I say,
Chuck Tingle role-playing game.
but of course. Well, I mean, I don't think that one's getting a redo anytime soon, but did you enjoy it?
Mate, I'll read
Yeah,
it.
that was cool.
I'd love that. Yeah, definitely do. Definitely do. But Sean, you got, well, as a team, you got 1 point. Well done.
Yes.
That was Death Metal RPG Karaoke.
Main. Subject. Magic. Main. Subject. Tokyo. Main. Subject.
The worst thing in the entire world, yes, even worse than that, is when a campaign fizzles out or just ends abruptly. But the best thing since sliced bitches is when a campaign reaches a satisfying conclusion. It can be emotional, it can make you feel like your hard work as a player has paid off, and it can solidify a campaign in the minds of your players, turning it into one they'll remember forever. So today we're going to share our tips for ending a campaign well, and James is going to share what he looks for as a player, what tickles his anus when it comes to a campaign ending. Now, Sean, So what I did, right now, I'm really sorry to Sean. I don't like to do this to you, as you well know. I don't.
I felt.
I don't like to do this to you,
felt
as
this
you well know. You felt this coming because you. Well, I asked these guys to put their notes into the show notes here, right? So we're just putting little bullet points of our tips.
Yeah.
Now,
I
Sean,
did it like straight away, pretty much.
he did, James. You've always been very studious with this stuff. You're doing a great job, I think.
And then Harrison put some.
No, I did not.
Seth Rogen guy in there.
Right, okay. So under Sean's tips, all it says is the following: smoke weed, get high, fly.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not I put that in there doesn't matter. All right.
The point is they weren't edited.
Yeah, you didn't delete them and put your own ones in there. You just saw those and went, oh well, there's nothing we can do about that. Yeah. It's impossible for me to type something into a Google Doc.
My hands are tied now, man. Like, to be honest, after that. Yeah.
Why didn't you do anything, Sean?
Well, at the time I could have done something. I fell asleep, and at the time where I couldn't do something, I was working.
Sean,
So you fell asleep.
Yeah.
That's
Sean,
worse.
After our games of Street Fighter.
Sean, I think that we added those notes. When was it? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah,
it
you've
was.
had a whole week. So
Yeah, I know. It's been a rough week, mate.
right, you.
Usually I'm on it. Usually I'm quite, bang, bang to the bang. But I can just give you some.
So Sean's just going to say I agree with everything you said, like he did that last time.
No, because I can give some sage advice.
Yeah, but it's good to get them in order so you don't miss anything. That's sort of what I was thinking.
The point was to have topics of discussion,
Yeah.
You've
not random off
that's
the
a good
cuff.
point, actually,
We
James.
wanted not.
Yeah, no,
not
that's a good point, James. This is what I told. I said this in the fucking WhatsApp chat, Sean.
No,
I said,
sorry, lads.
I said, here's how we do it.
Sorry.
Put your shit in it. No, you will be. You will be. Because I'm introducing now. There's something we used to do on our anime podcast, Teach Me Senpai. Go and listen to that now. I think there's only 3
I was
episodes.
going to get
available.
vinegar in.
You're going to get a vinegaring. Now, I'm not going to do it this time, but next episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start introducing punishments, okay? Now, if one of you fucks up, and I know, James, you won't. You're just great. You're doing a great job over there, man.
Yeah, but I do a great
mad
job
respect.
too.
What? But Sean, vinegarings are going to start happening. And you're going to drink it whether there's a fly in it or not.
I'll do a good job as well. I just turn up, like I live the rock star lifestyle, you know what I mean?
Fall asleep, don't put notes in. Yeah. So, campaign endings. Let's get into it. And Sean, if you annoy me, you're going to have to drink some vinegar. That's just the end of it.
Hopefully.
That's just the rules. I don't make the rules.
Well, I mean, you kind of did.
So, I'll do my tips first. One of the first ones, right? This is the most basic way of doing a satisfying ending to the end of the campaign. Now, I'm going to build on this a little bit as we. What's that noise you just made, Sean?
What noise?
I heard a noise. You're like.
It was like pipes or something.
Oh, it's pipes.
Or Seth Rogen.
But yeah, I'll build on these as we go along. But the most basic thing is to do the round table ending monologues. At the end of a campaign, you come to the end. People get their own ending scene. You can ask them to roll for whether or not it goes well or whatever, but I think just let them narrate their own ending and come up with something that makes sense. That's the most basic thing, right? And that's what everyone should do. If you're the GM and you're sitting there and you just go, you do a big fucking cutscene with all of your with all of your great NPCs at the end, it's probably not going to be as satisfying. The game's about the players, so go round the table and say, right, now you've killed God using the power of friendship. What are you gonna? How do you spend the rest of your days? And that's really the first tip, and that's the most basic. But
Well, can I add to that one because I realised
actually.
that. Huh?
no,
Because
you can.
Because
You can, 'cause you're doing a great job, man.
The tips that I've given, basically, they're very similar, if not the same.
Oh yeah,
thing.
if you've got a similar one, just jump in. You're doing a great job, man. I really respect you.
Good. So
Sean, you on the other hand,
Do you respect me more?
No, you're such a Seth Rogen, man. Go on, James. Sorry.
So regarding the ending monologues, I wrote a part to that in an epilogue, but a follow-up section which I've said that with the monologues, if you give the players the option and or the ability to take full ownership of what their character does or ends up doing, for instance 2 years in the future. So if you suggest like, okay, what did your character do immediately after these events, and what do they end up doing, say 2, 5, 10 years from now, then it gives the players at the table the ability to, write their character exactly how they wanted them to end up. If there was like some extra nuances that they built up during the campaign, extra relationships, things that they really actually wanted to accomplish aside from obviously the ending to the campaign and stuff.
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
because I feel like if you get to the end and the GM's just basically narrating it to you, like you said, let them take full ownership. Once the campaign is ended, once the goal of the campaign, let's say for example, killing God with the power of friendship, once that's over, the rolling stops. Right, because the game's over, the campaign's over. You get your players at that point to then just narrate what their character does. Like, for example, I think one of you in a D&D campaign started a dojo. James, I can't remember what Tiffany did, but I know that there have been ones, for example, in our Tough Guys campaign where Nick's character Mickey then married his bodyguard Zawadi.
That was sweet.
And shit like that, and then it's like, well, now I'm going to go and move to Mauritius, which is where she was from, and stuff like this. And like you say, let them take full ownership. You at this point, even if they say, oh, like for example, a big one, right? Like you may be of the opinion that, oh, what if I want to return to this and they've made changes that are way too big? Doesn't matter, because we had a football hooligan who used the millions that they'd earned at the end of Tough Guys to then buy Millwall Stadium and basically be the manager of the stadium.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And it's like, that's a big move, but I think it's fine at the end of the campaign, as long as it's not too ridiculous. Like, I turn into vapor and go into space and become a 0 level operating Phaeton or something. It's like, well, then it's all right.
With my Pathfinder campaign, I had like a sort of main ending in mind, but I sort of like baked it in, like, what do you guys want to do next, kind of thing, with the way you acted and like.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, so we did we reset time and had all we then become. We were security in the Golden Saucer, which was
you were police on a night off.
Right, yeah, that's it.
Park.
But that was the parameter. Then what we were doing there and all of the interactions, we played out a final scene. That was all our choice.
And you were like, oh,
see, that's a good way of doing it, where it's a good mix of both.
Yeah.
Very good. And a way to enhance this, as you've no doubt noticed, ladies and gentle people, is that you've got to have the characters set up routes throughout the campaign. Right? If they're always just dealing with your shit and there's no downtime, what are they going to do when the campaign ends, right? Well, you killed the dragon. What do you do? What's my backstory again from 20 episodes? I go back to being a farmer. No, you've got to have them meet good NPCs, set up routes, set up things in their own towns.
Well, they've got to evolve. Otherwise, they're just one-note fucking boring guys.
Exactly, and to do that, a big part of it is to set up routes and have things going on outside of the adventuring, so that they have something to return to.
Well, this is actually quite a funny thing or observation that I made when we played Hero Quest. Is that Harrison and I, as the players, we kept trying to. It took us a little while to get out of role playing because we kept trying to do voices and then kind of push a backstory into our characters because that's what we're used to doing. Whereas that was just hack and slash. But if you're actually playing a campaign and you don't bother fleshing out your character or giving them any kind of background, they are just going to be forgotten.
Absolutely, and because you at the end of the campaign, let's say for Hero Quest is a good example because it doesn't involve much story. If you got to the end of that, and then James Tomasson suddenly asked us, and he was like, "So what do your characters do at the end?" It'd be, I don't know, we just kill orcs and shit, man. I mean, it's like, it would be like, it would be stupid, right? So you really do have to set up those routes, and that's sort of like the very, very, very end of a campaign. But speaking about like the final episode or the events leading up to it, right? One of the things that's very good to do, and the players will often gear towards this anyway, is have old characters return. Now, that means if a player's retired an old character, maybe they come back for the final episode. Or if a player's left the game, have them return for the final episode. Just say, look, I know you haven't played in this campaign, but do you want to come back for the final tucker? Do you know what I mean? Or, have NPCs that have come close to the characters turn up for the final bout or just before it to help them prepare. Adds a bit of that emotional weight, showing how far they've come from, lowly orc slayers to now killing a dragon.
I think it's really good to do that kind of thing as well because it does, in my opinion, force the players to think more outside the box because they may have tunnel vision. They just think, right, I've got to,
I've got to kill this no matter what the cost.
Yeah, they may. Yeah, that may be their only thought. But if there are certain characters that you're sidelining them with good intention to maybe help them, or just to sort of bring them like materials or anything like that, go, this will help you, or stuff like that, then it means that the players will sort of think. I think with a more wider mindset.
Exactly, like if this beast is going to destroy cities, you're not just going to, like Solomon Kane, for example, where this thing was actually destroying countries. It's sort of like your characters might then think, oh no, that's where my girlfriend lives, I'm going to try and steer it away from Germany or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also said make the last episode your hardest, most epic, and most open episode. So the idea is that and I'm just using the big bad as a generic thing here, but it could be anything, right? But if it comes to the big bad, how do they want to do it? All this and the other, everything they do is completely player run, because then you're getting the players to work towards the ending that they want. Do you see what I mean? It's
I guess like listening to the players and sort of, because you probably, as a GM, maybe have an ending in mind in the first place, but like, I guess listening to the players, seeing what they do,
seeing how they want to kill it, and the manner in which they want to start the fight, this, that, and the other. Yeah, because then they're going to get the ending that they're working towards. Do you know what I mean? If you just imagine if you get to the end of a campaign, it's just like, here's this one way to kill the boss, and you have to do it, and here's my great ending. Here's a 20-minute monologue. Yeah. But I had there was for example Owen Lean, friend of the show. He ran a really good campaign that was Olympus Towers, I think it was called, and it was about people on a council estate that get powers from Greek gods. And so I had to leave that campaign, unfortunately, because it just wasn't viable, because I had to drive for 3 fucking hours to get there every 2 weeks. But for the last one, he said he wants anyone who's ever been involved, because it was a very long running campaign, and he said that we all want to turn up for the end. Like, we don't necessarily know what's happened in between, but my old character, he's heard that they finally got all of the bloody Horcruxes together, and we're going to go and attack Zeus or whatever. And so we all teamed up, and my character came back for the very final fight, and I was on the roof with some old bitch from the council estate, and she handed me a shotgun, I had a shotgun, we were just blasting this thing to Kingdom Come, and it was kind of cool, because it was also like, one weird thing was that Darry, one of also friend, well, not of the show, he never listens, but he was also there. I didn't even know that he'd played at any point in the campaign, but like, we had other players there that we didn't know, and it was just sort of like, oh, we met this guy before, and we were sort of doing a bit of a rebrief before killing the final boss, and it was epic. And then of course, like, the final boss was also a very open thing that we could kill in any manner that we wanted, or we could plan for in any manner that we wanted, and I think it sort of meant that the ending was very cool, although my character did get fucked off and made into a magic item by a god, so that was kind of annoying, but also cool. My last one was, and I'll probably think of some more, but one of my last ones was that provide an ending even if a campaign isn't working out. Now, I don't think... the thing I was thinking of here was that I did it in Bubblegum Crisis, where it was a fun story but a shit system, and we ended up just going, right, we're wrapping this up, I've got 2 more episodes, and then we can do it an ending. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the one I was thinking of as well, I played Terra in Talabheim. That was a Warhammer module, but we played it using Savage Worlds Warhammer, and we ended up never actually finishing it, but I really wanted to finish it. And I think that if we'd have just said, look, I know, like, the GM, he wasn't enjoying it, so he wanted to move on. That's absolutely fine. And it was such a good campaign, but we just wanted to see an ending. And I think that maybe if we'd have just gone, instead of just going, right, this will be the last session, see you later, if he'd have just gone, right, we'll do one more after this and we'll try and bring it to some sort of conclusion, then it's still going to... It's not necessarily a tip of how to do a good ending, I guess, but it's still a way that...
At least you can have an interpretation of what happened.
Because a lot of campaigns fizzle out. That's just the thing, right? And but it's such a shitty feeling when that happens, especially as a player. If you've got all your fingers in so many pies and things, just let them do something. Like, either just fight the boss now or whatever, or go to the last location now, or just at least have people do their ending scenes. Do you know what I mean? Just so that there's some conclusion there.
Yeah, it sounds like you know, realistically and ideally, regardless of what's happening, is that you need to allow the players to have accomplished something.
Some resolution.
Yeah.
That is pretty much it for my tips. I mean, those are the ways I tend to end campaigns, where I will keep it very open. I like doing the ending monologues, and I like giving players routes throughout the campaign, and that's when you really need to set up. But the easiest way to do that, I suppose, is just through decent downtime. At that point, you could do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, even if that is like, oh, I want to go back and slay orcs. It's like, okay, well, you're going off for a week by yourself. Let's just do a roll and let's see how well you do in the dungeon. Do you come away with an injury or do you get gold? Like, even that shit. But, like, yeah, I've done it in every campaign, in every one of my recent campaigns, and it's always worked out well, I think. James, tips as a player. What's the sort of things you love to see? The
things that I like to see, it's similar to the player monologues, but it kind of it assists with it or is part of it, especially, and it comes right at the end, the very, very end parts of it, the end scenes before everyone stands up, cheers, and packs their dice away and shares fond memories of the entire campaign. And that is for the DM to provide an epilogue and a well-rounded one as well. Well-rounded conclusion of events. It's really nice to be able to sort of have a nice recap at the end of a campaign and then bring up either stuff that either didn't matter just for a laugh or some really big events that maybe people forgot about.
Well, I mean, a good example of that is in Solomon Kane, where everyone went off and did their shit because they travelled the world and they then had the ideas about what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And everyone shared these really emotional moments, so they went off and did something. And then James, of course, one of his returning characters, came back for the last game, and there was a mishap during the early parts of the game where James, the player, did not know that underage people would be employed just to serve drinks at a bar, for example, because it was just the way it was. During that time, you would just get your daughter to run the bar for a bit, and James fell on the floor, accidentally looked up her skirt, and then was like, and you got really annoyed because we kept on joking that he was a rapist, but in actual fact, it was an accident, right? But I remember everyone did all their emotional things, and then we cut back to your character, that one, James, and I was like, and where does he go? And he just goes, where's that girl? And then just walks off into the sunset. And it was just like,
it's really lent into it.
It gave a bit of comic relief to what was otherwise a very serious ending.
Oh yeah, because there was so much going on, and that character was the first of my runner characters within that who died, and then came back to life.
Came back to life only to become a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of my tips as well is a lot of ownership on the DM. The more invested they are, the more invested the players are. I do believe that if you're not putting any enthusiasm into the ending, and you're just sort of saying, "Oh yeah, well, sort of, we just sort of muck it up, and then sort of finishes, and then we're done."
You are known as the champions of the land.
Yeah,
closes book.
And I even wrote here, for instance, Sean's campaign. He cried at the end, and we fucking absolutely.
I didn't fucking cry.
We got way invested.
Sean, it's not embarrassing. Don't worry about it.
I know. I was just doing.
But you're right. It's the enthusiasm is infectious. We've always said that. It's the one thing now that this show is missing. Now Nick is gone, right? Because we're all miserable.
Yeah.
But if the GM is enthusiastic about it, I think just to add on to that, James, I think it has to be an enthusiasm. You have to be the players and the player characters' biggest fans.
Oh yeah,
do you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That once you've got that, you're the enthusiasm for your world and the players. Then that conclusion is going to be including all of them, which is what you want, and it is infectious, which is a very, very good point.
So with like stuff of my end in Pathfinder.
Which one are we doing here, Sean? Is this get high, fly, or okay, go on.
Yeah. No, you got like James said, it's quite good because I'm sort of inspired by endings that tie everything up very nicely, like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Or Metal Gear Solid 4 is a very good example.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist, Return of the King. And
Return of the King? What's that? I don't know that one.
Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
That's another good example.
All of those, they all tie everything up nicely, but then also there's sort of the feeling of like, you know, friendship and like the group, and then you got like the nice little gags as well that make everything a bit like sometimes like, well, it's like got a feeling of nostalgia running through it and stuff like that, hasn't it? Like, you know,
Yeah, nostalgia is a very powerful emotion, I think, and I think that's a good point. If you start reminiscing about things like for example, in the end of my character, who was a little kid, he figured out that one of the things he could get away with swearing was calling somebody a cheeky bastard.
Yeah,
and it was like when I saw one of the old characters again, I was like, "You cheeky bastard!" Like, but this time it's in a jokey way, not in like I'm angry at you because you're a boss way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was good. And I agree. Like those ones where you wrap it all up. I mean, the good thing is that when you're doing it, everyone cares about the characters, right? In an RPG, sadly, in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. I mean, there's a lot of sort of erroneous endings. Who gives a fuck what was happening to Samwise Gamgee? Do you know what I mean? Sure, he's all right.
No, he is. Yeah, he's always going to be alright because he's a hobbit, and he just hang out,
smoke weed, get high, fly. Really. But also, yeah. No, wait a minute. No, I've actually forgotten what I was going to say. Go on.
Okay, so one of my other tips is also a lot of ownership on the DM, but to try and get investment from the players. For instance, if you're run a con game,
money investment.
Yeah, lots of money, stock markets.
If people spend money on it, they're more likely to be more invested. You see how people argue over Xbox versus PlayStation?
No, wait. As in, like, so if you run a game at con and it's just sort of a hack and slash, and the players, for instance, they may not be that invested in how it wraps up because they're just like, well, I'm just doing one session of it and never coming back to it. Or if for whatever reason at the table there's some kind of resilience from the players to, I don't know, to bother putting in effort to tidying up the end of...
Do you mean resistance, James?
He does, but I'm sure people would have got that at home. You didn't need to interrupt him.
Yeah, so what it is you want you to have a bit of ownership on the DM to maybe provide some of the roundup for the players and to bring stuff back to earlier times or earlier sessions. And an example that I wrote is after all this time, he finally won that game of Rounders. You know, bring it back to something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Completely.
Do you mean baseball, James?
Sean, no, if you right, that is it. James, get the vinegar.
Fuck me. What
Rounders? We don't play baseball in this fucking country. We play Rounders.
Yeah. So
you know we're racist against Americans. We've made that very clear.
Yeah.
So don't you ever do that again. Play chasing that Yankee dollar.
Yeah. But yeah, so something like that, I think, will always put a smile on the player's face. Because, for instance, if if there's like an extra opportunity for you to sort of add an extra detail, then you can suggest something like that.
So you instead of going around and saying like, "What do?" You can go, "Oh yeah." So earlier on, your character mentioned that he never won a game of Rounders. Do you want to end the game by doing a Rounders scene?
Yeah, you could either do something like that.
And then the player's like, "Do you mean baseball?" And you're like, "Get the fuck out! Don't you ever come back again."
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool. That's a great tip. A very, very good tip. And I do think providing a good ending to a con game is what will make them more memorable than the other ones where you just go, "You slay the demon. Goodbye, everyone."
Well, it's like our Call of Cthulhu game. We all died, but, you know.
But the endings are amazing. Yeah. And, I mean, and that also, that was the one that we played at the con. It was sort of like, we still got to choose the manner in which we died. Because as soon as that big fucking thing came out, it was still like, well, I'm dancing with my boxes on my head on top of a police car singing, "It's beginning to look a lot like Fishmas." I love that when I did that because the woman at the table went, "It's June!" And I was like, I know, I'm gone insane. All right? So there we go. Yeah, I love it. Great tips, James. Very, very good tips. And I think
now for sure hands tips.
What about my tips? I thought they're pretty spicy, innit?
Yeah, we're gonna get. We'll go on then.
Wait, no, I've given my tips. I've sort of peppered them in, innit?
Right. So look, I don't mean to be like Sean. You know, I hate to do this, right? But
you love it, man.
At the end of the day, right? James did sort of predict that you were just going to say, "Yeah, I agree with everything James said."
I did not, though. Did I? Although
You
I
have
do-
a bit. No,
although
you
I do
did. You
agree- I
added.
do
to,
agree
you,
with
shut up.
James,
Shut up.
right?
You did add to them a bit.
Yeah, I did.
But you happen to just simply agree with us quite a lot, right? Now, I don't mean to be a dick here, but instead of falling asleep, perhaps
Wake
just
up.
you could have just put 3. I put fucking 5 lines of text in this bloody thing
Yeah.
because it was just to give me
I'm
a bouncing off point to talk about.
No, I'm sorry, and
This is pathetic.
you're pathetic.
Sean.
Oh, Sean, this is the worst you've ever done. And this is worse than when we did the anime podcast and you didn't even watch Sailor Moon.
I did watch it. I loved it. It's great.
What colour hair did Sailor Uranus have?
Blonde?
There we go. Proof. Thank you, everyone.
It's been, yeah.
Surely it would have been brown. You didn't even need to know.
It is brown, yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's called Uranus. Like,
Oh, Uranus. Oh, sorry. I was thinking.
I was thinking of Sailor Mercury.
I was thinking Sailor V, but anyway.
Why would you think of Sailor? She's not even in the team until like 3 fucking.
Anyway,
I hate you. I hate
Sailor
you so
Uranus
much.
is only in the original, not the manga and the Good Crystal one.
No, she is in the manga and the Good Crystal one.
Oh.
As you can see on my shelf up there, I've got the. Look, this isn't Teach Me Senpai, right? But I've read the fucking mangas. And she was in Crystal. See, it proves you didn't watch it. And this time, you put no. All you needed to do is put 2 lines in there, man. That's all you needed to do.
Yeah, but you've got content now, innit?
Well, with that, we specifically haven't. That's really what I'm going for here. Like, we really haven't.
Yeah, lifting the veil.
Lifting the veil, Sean. You honestly, you're getting a punishment next podcast and game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for our tips on how to end a campaign. I do feel as if Sean's let us down, but I do feel as if we got some good tips out there. And I reckon if you've got any of your own as well, listeners, let us know and we'll read them out in the feedback next time.
Yeah.
I do also think that maybe another thing I would say is to remind characters of the stuff they have before the final fight as well, and also get their sheets back at the end of a campaign. Because if you ever want to do a follow-up, get the sheets. Get the sheets, because it will feel so much better when you've reached this ending and then you do a second arc and you're using the same stats rather than having to re-roll the character. It feels like you're having to delete a lot of progress there.
I don't know, man. I think
that is a good tip, isn't it, James?
It's a very good tip. Or at least just say, can I take a picture of your character sheet so you can hang on
Before you
to
end
them?
it, yeah, because people like to keep ones that they've. But what Sean was worried about, right, was that because he wants to follow up his Pathfinder campaign with a police-based campaign with all of us, and it sounds amazing.
It does. It really does.
And I bought Sean some, because Initiative is done with playing cards in Savage Worlds, and I bought Sean some New York City Police Department, New York Police Department playing cards that I found, and he's going to have it be Navis Yard Police Department, which is amazing because that's one of the cities in the game. But Sean was worried that if we're doing street level shit, as our characters, because we're so powerful now, it's not going to feel right. But I was like, it just needs to be like ever increasing circles, doesn't it? It's like you start off and it seems like a simple drug bust. Yeah, these thugs are going to be no match for you, but turns out
fucking owlbears and genies pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, it could be that. What if the fucking drugs they're taking turns them into owlbears and genies, and suddenly
that'd be sick. It'd be like a
much.
malfunction of like that is any kind of superpower drug in like films and shit where it's like
exactly. Now the city's overrun. It's your job as the police to deal with it, but also investigate how this came to be and who's responsible.
Sean, I think we've written it for you.
Similar. It's the world's going to be similar to Shadowrun. So yeah, there is.
Well, I understand that, but yeah, keep the sheets because James's character, he put a lot of love and effort into that. And
Yeah,
let's
he
say
did,
if
but
you started
he's
next
so
campaign, he
powerful.
wanted to start us again from novice because we've had time off.
That doesn't make sense.
No, that would suck, man. It's like, all those levels you had. You're playing the same guy, but all of the effort.
If you gave us that option, we'd just be like, yeah, I'll just write a new character, mate.
Yeah, it totally would be. That's
No,
what
because we wouldn't want to tarnish the names of our predecessors.
my character's name is PC Gone Mad.
What about like 2 levels maybe like?
Sean!
2 levels. Well, so we'd be veteran. Nice. Cheers.
Cheers, boy. I am vet, aren't I?
I think you are, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit strong.
You're an idiot. There's no such thing as a too strong campaign. Anyway, look, endings for campaigns. Do them well, put a lot of effort into them. I think they're important. If you even have a campaign that fizzles out and people just stop coming, just say, look, I know that this has come to an end, but let's all get together and play one more session just to tie things up.
My one last tip to round it all off is to just jot down notes so you remember.
Remember details to bring back at the end.
Especially at a con game. You could just write something down and be like, oh, he mentioned a bright green handbag. Bring that up at the end. They'll love it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And if somebody's never if somebody's not made a decent hit in the entire session, at the end of it, just go, you're standing at the trying to hit things tournament in your village. A dummy in front of you. Do you manage to hit it? Like just little details like that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Good.
Well, that was it. We got a lot of electro letters actually, so we better crack on, lads. Sure. Yeah. You ready?
Yeah, I'm. Yeah.
Because you weren't before. I
rolled a 20 on readiness.
I can't believe how much vinegar you're going to have to drink next episode, man. It's going to be fucked up.
Can I have some chips?
You're gonna pickle your insides, mate. And there's going to be so many flies in it.
Is there any chance of some bread to sort of?
No bread.
In the future, you will be able to send a letter or parcel from anywhere on the planet. This, sir, is the Electro Letter.
So this is Electro Letters. This is where we deal with your correspondence throughout there. We got a lot of questions this time, a lot of good ones, a lot of really shit ones. And we'll start with one of the shit ones. Dr. Mumson, he says, can I smoke my DCC books?
Well, we don't control you. You can do what you want. Anything you put your mind to, you can do it.
I do think I object to book burning in a certain way, but I mean, if you do smoke it, perhaps you'll inhale all the rules and be able to be the best fucking judge you're ever going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Let us know how it goes.
In school, I once smoked pencil shavings as part of a dare, and it's fucking horrible.
Yummy.
When he says smoke it, does he mean just absolutely kill it with a campaign or something?
I smoked my DCC book, man. Mate, I absolutely smoked it in that campaign. Maybe it just means like a light smoke. You know how do you smoke a sausage? You smoke the meat.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That would be really nice, actually. You get it out and you imbue it with a certain scent.
Mate, imagine that at the table. What books you got today? Oh, yeah, that's DCC.
Oh, I can smell pine.
Genius.
Very genius. Mr. The Beach, he says, given how much you enjoyed Ravenloft, are there any other classic settings, official D&D or otherwise, you'd be excited to run a fantasy campaign in?
Yeah, I reckon Harrison should run Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
So running MCC recently has reminded me how much I love that system, and I think I'm going to do this MCC one. Will be obviously I'm going to finish this. But then my next one's going to be DCC Temple of Elemental Evil.
But how he's going to finish it? He's going to use one of the tips we just spoke about. And
exactly.
Really early.
I'm going to use all the. I'm going to smoke weed. I'm going to get high. I'm going to fly. Yeah, actually, I've wanted to run one in Mystara for ages. Mystara. I've always thought that sounds cool. I love Planescape, but it's so good and complicated. It's basically unplayable. Classic settings. What have I got up there? I've got Forgotten Realms. Wow, really pushing the boat out there. Do you know what I mean? Forgotten Realms, by the way, is the default setting for D&D. Yeah, classic settings. I think Mystara will be one that I'd love to play in. I do love Ravenloft quite a lot, though, and Planescape. Dragonlance is shit, and anyone who likes it is an idiot. How about you, Sean? Classic settings.
Fantasy Warhammer.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a very good one. That's a great setting. James, would you like to play or run any classic fantasy settings?
The only thing is most likely just Savage Pathfinder, isn't it?
I suppose it is a classic. It's a modern classic. What about Lord of the Rings?
I'm not sure I'd actually enjoy running something in that.
Well,
because you've got to have a lot of travel.
Yeah, and I think actually the One Ring role-playing game and the 5e versions they did for it do the travel really well, where it's very systemic. But the thing is that I've always found it kind of. There's a great video that Spoonie does about it, and it's why the Lord of the Rings video game sucks. Because, when you're the Lord of the Rings story really is the best story that was told in that world, right? It's the best one. They did it. It's done. It's the most heroic thing that ever happened in that universe. So who are you going to play? In one of the video games, you play like as a guy called like Regulus, and he's like following the Fellowship, sort of helping them from the shadows, which is dumb as fuck. Or you're going to be like some hobbit, and there's an evil out there. It's not quite as good as Sauron. Or you're going to do the thing where you just bring Sauron back for some reason, or the ring back for some reason, or whatever. But that said, the Adventures in Middle-earth campaign books are really fucking good. And what's cool is, obviously, in Lord of the Rings, magic is really rare. So if you own 5e and you get the Adventures in Middle-earth shit, there's like 9 classes in there, and none of them do magic. And they're all pretty well made, I think. But yeah, Sean, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say like characters like Sam Average Intelligence and stuff like that.
Sam... Oh, instead of Sam Wise.
God almighty.
Oh my God. Actually, that reminds me, I made a joke last night to my wife, and I was like... I can't remember what it was, but she did something. She did something that she had just told me not to do, right? And I was just like, do I hear an equine swamp-dwelling mammal rolling an actual 20 on a 20-sided dice? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, sorry, I just thought I heard a hippo crit. But she was like, such a sick burn that I'm going to punch you. Next up, Illicitithid. He says, I have misunderstood the podcast review, and I've become lost in the woods falling down these incredibly steep trails and taking a brutal beating in doing so. I've had to embrace my more animalistic traits to survive and can no longer communicate outside of Discord except in snarls and grunts. Any advice for me now that I'm a savage pathfinder? Fucking hell.
What, it's like from listening to this podcast.
That's what's happened to him.
He's gone a bit feral.
That's worrying, isn't it? No, he's become a savage pathfinder.
Okay.
He's savage and he looks for paths now.
And my advice is keep digging, bro.
Keep digging, and just come back to Civilization for a bit.
Yeah, maybe take a break, but also tell your friends.
How can he take a break? Tell your friends about the podcast. Attack people in the woods and bite the website address into their skin. Scratch it.
Don't watch anime.
What are you talking about? What's that got to do with anything?
Well, I don't want him to get worse. And
oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, don't watch anime. Don't watch Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh, I found a fucking Thomas the Tank Engine RPG, by the way.
We're playing it.
And I recently learned about the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom. You know, furries? Imagine that, but for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, that's fucked up, man.
And they call wanking over it, they call it steaming.
Oh, no.
It's fucked.
Oh, no.
But that's coming up. Believe me. Mad Van Holes, he says, I'm very interested to hear how the twats feel about Paizo playing the good guy compared to Wizards of the Coast. Aren't they usually money-grabbing a-holes too? I think I've even heard Goodman Games is getting in bed with them. I'm afraid we're getting lined up to be railed slightly by a different big bad evil guy. Please advise.
Lesser evils, I'd say.
I don't know. I mean, it did strike me as a bit odd when Pathfinder came out saying, hey guys, we're doing our new OGL and all of this stuff.
No, it's all marketing. They're being the good guys, so they buy their products more.
That's
so
it. No, but of course, that's exactly what it is.
To be fair,
but do you know what it is? It's also like I hate using this phrase. Actually, I mean it's appropriate, but it's like virtue signaling, right? They're saying, "Hey, we're the good guys. Buy our shit." It's all marketing, and it's like, okay, I get why you're doing it, but it doesn't make Pathfinder 2 any less any more worth buying. There we go.
I suppose they were originally the good guys because they made Pathfinder because of how D&D was. They didn't like the route that D&D was.
But even that is a very very shrewd business decision. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's it's difficult to get behind, isn't it? When, as James very rightly pointed out, when you know it's just a marketing ploy, it's very difficult to go, yeah, I respect these guys. It's like, I'm not falling for it. I'm not fucking falling for it. There are still I mean, I guess putting the OGL out there is a good thing to do, but I think the reasons for it were to be the good guys. Do you know what I mean? Hey guys, come over to us.
Yeah, I think it comes from a good place and a bad place at the same time. They are trying to be the good guys.
It's what we want. But it's also they're doing what we want for marketing reasons.
It's the equivalent of when Xbox One came out and they said you couldn't play discs, and then like PlayStation were like, hey, you can give the discs to your friends. We're the good guys now.
Yeah, and it's like, well, so essentially what you've done is not put code onto your computers, and it's like, yeah, it's a marketing ploy. That's all it is. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It's like at least they're doing something good. It's like McDonald's giving to charity, but at the same time, sort of raping African nations. It's sort of like
making the capital.
It makes it all right to be McDonald's, does it not? CJ, he says, have you guys considered doing a big Apple Sewer Samurai expansion like Tough Guys expanded Wise Guys?
Well, yeah. No.
Yeah, but Sean, you haven't read it. You should read it. Big Apple Sewer Samurai. It's a little thing for Savage Worlds.
I do want it. Yeah, I want to own the book for it. To be fair.
Get it, buy it. You would love it,
Yeah.
and then you could do your own expansion. Mutant Hero Beasts.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you got to do that.
But like, there's
But also, seeing this email's given me a fucking good idea. Is that Mutant Hero Beast X cross Tough Guys?
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
well,
Yeah, that's. But
well, you guys a bit like sort of like wanted me to do a sequel to that for a while, innit?
yeah, we do want you very much to do a sequel. But I might do it. I might do Tough Guys X Mutant Hero Beasts. What if the new gang in town suddenly is like Bebop and Rocksteady or whatever?
I'll allow it.
You
Like,
you don't own the Turtles, man.
No,
if
but
anything,
So
they
he
own
allows
you.
it like he plagiarised all of your.
Yeah, you fucking stole my Big Bad Evil for your campaign. So
but
you
like,
stealing.
I was,
You should have asked me first.
you loved it though, but
I loved it, but you know, it's bang out of order.
No, I think you could like give respect to the Mutant Hero
best
Beast
respect.
franchise.
Give respect to the Mutant Hero Beast franchise. Did you hear that? What a cunt. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. You should do that, Sean. You should write something for that fucking setting. It'd be like an adventure. It'd be really good.
Yeah, that would be.
Put down the ones you did in your campaign. Illicit Illithid. Now, these are the good questions.
Yeah.
No, there were some good ones before. Sorry. This is a good question. Advice for dealing with players who won't put in the effort. My cockmonglers, Call of Cthulhu players, won't so much as look at the Discord in between sessions and spend the first 1+ hour of every game trying to remember what the hell they're doing in Australia. Most of them don't take notes, so I end up doing the recap myself despite offering in-game rewards. I swear to God they'll start asking me to follow them into the bathroom to wipe for them next.
Fuck me, man. That's horrible.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, but we've said this for years, right? Players don't read. They simply don't. But I don't think the onus should be on them. And I don't think that some people don't like to take notes. I've tried, and it takes me out of the game because I'm trying to keep decent notes. And
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I'd be sitting there and be like, James, and be like, wait a minute.
Nick's very good at doing it because he does sort of shorthand only he will remember. Like, he can look at it and go, oh, do you remember this?
Tobuscus does it a few times. But his notes now, as I've seen it, are just important names and details.
Important names and details that he does on the back of his sheet.
Yeah.
The thing is, with regards to remembering the previous episode, it's weird because I can do it really well as a GM, but then I take notes the following day in my notebook.
a good thing to do.
But I think with getting players to remember, I just think it's a lost cause. I
and
just don't
getting
think
players to go on the Discord. But I think a good thing is to recap the last game.
But no. Well, what he's saying is he doesn't want to have to do that every time. Why can't his players just remember and they just bam straight into it?
Isn't it?
Well, the thing is, you say that they're spending 1+ hours every session. In all honesty, you can get a recap done in 2 minutes, so just bite the bullet.
Yeah, I mean, it really just get it because look, with the first MCC game where we did episode 0, right? There was 2 weeks in between because Sean was ill, right? And I felt like I should do a better recap than I usually do, and it only took a couple of minutes. I just think it's one of those things as a GM you need to take on the chin. It's frustrating, but players don't read. I would love players to read, but even when I'm a player, I don't. Because it's my time off, right? So my point is that one of our players recently said that he wanted to do a campaign using one of the Warhammer 40k role-playing games, right? And he said, right, there's probably about 15 pages of lore you're going to have to read.
And I was like, fuck.
Screw that.
But you know what? Like, we played Necropolis with Nick, and I don't think
40k adjacent.
It's pretty much 40k with the serial numbers filed off. Yeah. But Nick, so one of the big things is like there's all these different sects of the same religion in the army that you guys belong to, and you're basically like space marines fighting space orcs and stuff like this, right? And the thing is that in that setting, the way Nick did it was not say, I need you to read the descriptions of all the different sects and the people you're going to be dealing with. We just got into the game and he said, right, which one do you want to pick? We picked one, and then we went past in the hallway, and some of the other sects were having a go at us, and we saw what they were up to and things like this. Just do it in the game. Just doing. If Warhammer 40k film came out and it started with 15 pages of text on the screen, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
I'm sure not.
Just
all
do it in universe, man. If we don't know every detail, then it's fine. He could just say, oh, if I go to do something that perhaps would be frowned upon, he could just say, oh, by the way, the religion forbids that activity. You can do it, but only if you get away with it, sort of thing. I don't know. Players are not going to read, and campaigns are always best when they don't have to read anything and they learn about it in universe. I mean, Vampire the Masquerade, when I ran that, one of the big things is that using your character creation points, you can make your vampire older, right? Which means you've been around the block a bit more, you've got better abilities, you're this, that, and the other. But I just vetoed that rule and just said, right, you're all new vampires, because I don't expect you to have to roll every time you need to know something, and I don't expect you to have to read the fucking book. Now that we've played a campaign of it, now you can. Now you can do a 400-year-old vampire if you want. But yeah, I don't know, man. Players are never going to read it, and they're never gonna look at the Discord. So just you've got to do it all in the game. And as for the recap, just take a few notes. I mean, like, you heard how long I went on about the MCC campaign on the last episode, right? I summarised it in about 2 minutes and just got all the important details out there.
Simple. Yeah, maybe he just needs...
I don't think he's really doing it for 1+ hours. I think he's exaggerating for effect.
Yeah, although the only other suggestion would be to find different players.
Yeah.
No, I think his players are alright. It's just like he needs to just tweak.
Because it depends on what they bring to the game. If a person doesn't I mean, we played with the bloke for years, and I know we complain about him now, but I enjoyed playing with him, you know, even though he was a bit of a problem player. I enjoyed playing with him. And he doesn't even know which dice are which. And that's after 5 years of fucking playing. So it's like, if he brings something decent to the table, but has the flaw that he doesn't read and he needs a recap, that's fine. I don't expect people to necessarily remember everything, and it's quite hard to do, isn't it? Especially if you drink, and towards the end of the night you're getting more hammered. You're really going to remember what happened at the end of the game? Probably not.
No, that's true.
Because even though I'm good at remembering the details of the campaign, and your campaign, Sean, I did often ask, well, we were here, why is this?
Yeah, because there is a lot to remember.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just read ahead that the next question that follows on.
It's very similar, yeah. I mean, it's very apt. Sid, he says, I have more than one player that isn't very good at remembering specifics of game mechanics, probably because they play in 2 different separate games that use different RPG systems. But they are really good at bringing character personification and story elements to the table. I don't mind helping them to remember the mechanics, but sometimes it gets a little bit irritating. Any ideas how to encourage them to get better at the rules? They add so much to the story, I just don't want to lose them as a player.
I've got a tip immediately, which is something that Harrison did as a result of having a player at a table like that, and as a result of con games, and Sean, as a result of just doing one-shots and stuff like that.
Sean.
It's to...
Sean was the bad guy.
It's to basically say, what do you want to do, and I'll tell you what to roll. So you're taking the ownership of the mechanics being on the player to understand them completely, and what you're doing is you're guiding them. And the more you guide them, the more they're going to remember.
And also I found it... sorry, go on, Sean.
No, I was going to say it also depends on how well the game is made. Like, for example, some of the rules the players won't even know that they're remembering them. You know what I mean? Like,
I've always found Savage Worlds is a very well designed game because it all revolves around a central mechanic and very rarely deviates from that. Cyberpunk, for example, is a rules heavy game. It's difficult to remember how to play the game, but then the big difference is that once you get the rules of Cyberpunk, you know how to do everything. Right, but say something like D&D, like I said, like James said, it's like I will always tell players, just tell me what you want to do, I'll tell you what to roll. But that doesn't mean I'm going to remember your fucking edges and hindrances for you, right?
Oh, true.
If you want to do something and you just go, I attack, and then later on you realise you had this edge that you didn't use, well, that's your fault. Right?
Yeah, well,
you're probably going to get better at remembering it.
Yeah, and that does happen and has happened
lots of times.
Yeah, even in recent campaigns and recent sessions, just like, I forgot I had that. So that's frustrating, but I'll just try and remember for next time.
I also think a good hearty piss taking will often help. For example, there was a time when we were playing 5e, and I told our friend Ryan to roll with advantage, and but what's the fucking advantage, mate? And I was like, he thought I meant bonus, and he'd forgotten what advantages. And I was like, same as always, mate. We've been playing for 15 sessions. You roll 2d20, pick the better of the both. And he's like, yep, all right, yep. I just took the piss out, and he didn't forget it after that. But also, there's one thing I did during lockdown, right? And this pretty much is the opposite of what you want. You want them to learn the rules and that, right? But one thing to alleviate this that gives a really, really quick, easy thing, just have a copy of their character sheet and attach it to the inside of your GM screen. And if they're umming and ahhing and it's slowing the game down, but you clearly like this player as a role player and as a person, right? So what you want to do is you want them in the game for that reason. So just tape one of their character sheets to the inside of your GM screen, and when they're umming and ahhing, and so how do I do a shooting roll? You just go, you've got a D8, roll a D8. Simple as that. Because I did it in lockdown with Discord because I knew certain idiots in our group would not be able to find things on their sheet. So I had it in front of me. I'm not sure. I looked at you there because I was talking to you. I wasn't talking about you. You were more bad with actually getting onto the Discord.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
To the point where I had to name the voice channel, please God, click here, voice channel.
It's still got click here in capital letters.
I know, because nobody could I can't hear anyone. Oh.
Yeah, I mean...
Fuck's sake.
I wasn't the worst, though.
No, you were not the worst. But I have a copy of their character sheet. I think in terms of getting them to learn the rules, Sean made a good point that certain systems are better for that. I also think one thing you want your characters to do is, instead of just hitting things, you want them to know the special manoeuvres and what their edges do and stuff. Easy thing to do, use them against them. They'll never forget them then.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
If your character keeps forgetting what his sweep edge does, have a character of sweep on there, come in and fucking obliterate them, and he goes, fucking hell, how do you do that? You go, well, you've got that edge, you can use that whenever you want. Or if somebody used the aim maneuver or wild attack or whatever, or somebody does have a fucking NPC in DCC with, what do they call them? Mighty Deeds.
Yeah.
Have them come in and start using Mighty Deeds against them, and he'll be like, how did he blind me and hit me in the same turn? It's like, because he's got Mighty Deeds, same as you, mate.
Just bringing Adam Sandler in, you know what I mean?
I have crippling depression. I think we solved that one, haven't we, lads?
Yeah.
The Greg Man, he says, I'm joining a new local in-person group mid-campaign. What's your best advice for fitting in, or should I do something outrageous to assert dominance? Well, one person put on the Discord that they should go in like it's a prison, hit the biggest guy, and steal all the snacks.
No, don't do that. You'll get hated.
Do you think he might get hated if he goes in and attacks somebody day one?
Yeah.
Just don't
Radical.
rush. Maybe, you know.
How do you... But he wants to assert dominance. He doesn't just want to go in and be another stinky-ass murder hobo. He wants to go in there and he wants to dominate.
No, it says, or should I do something?
He wanted to fit in.
Oh, okay, right. So let's talk about how does he fit in, and then we'll talk about how to assert dominance.
Well, if you're joining mid-campaign, then surely you're going to be brought up to speed, right? So could you not ask at that point, is there the opportunity to have a tie-in to another player? So then you can start building a relationship.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Quickly.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, just say, right, I want to link my backstory with somebody. So when you
distant
turn up,
cousin.
the character might go, all right, mate, it's been a while. And you're like, yeah, sorry about that, I got lost.
Yeah.
Turns out you've been following the party this whole time.
Yeah.
Additionally, I think, look, RPGs, you tend to get on well with the group you're playing with, if they're a good group, fairly quickly, because you really do have to leave your inhibitions at the door. You can't go in there being nervous, right? Otherwise, you're just going to suck, because you're about to do a stupid voice and play a pretend wizard. But another thing that helps that is alcohol. So my point would be, get a crate and bring it to the first game. Get a crate and allow everyone just to say, tuck in, enjoy yourselves. Everyone has a nice beer or cider. And then they'll be a little bit more drunk. You'll get on. They'll be happy that you bought them a case of beer, and that's that. It only costs you, probably in America, costs a lot of money, doesn't it? But in England, a tenner for a crate of Fosters. Don't get Fosters.
If you don't drink, though, you could just, like, at the very least, bring some really dank snacks that everyone can, like...
No, bring a case of beer and a case of Cokes.
And popcorn and pistachios.
And oh my God, do not eat those. Don't eat those, because they're going to be everywhere. But, I agree. Having a linked backstory is a fucking great idea. Sean, you got any advice for fitting in as a person who never has?
Don't be me.
Don't be Sean. What about that Tesla the other day, though? Speaking of fitting in, Sean ordered an Uber and he got this fucking, £2 million sports car that came and picked him up.
It was amazing. Like the door handles popped out of the
Sean was like, I'm looking for a Peugeot, and we just saw this guy in the sickest whip known to man.
There was like a fat monitor in there. It was bigger than like.
Yeah, you can play Xbox games on there, man.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And also, like, the road is like very bad. Like, hasn't been done for like 20 years or whatever, and you can feel like every bump, and sometimes I want to puke, but
It's just glided over, did it?
yeah, just glided over.
So Elon Musk, massive cunt, good cars. So yeah, any advice? You're starting a new game with people you don't know. What are you going to do?
Drive a Tesla.
That helps.
Be shy, and then
Be shy, hate every minute of it, and be terribly relieved when you get out.
yeah.
Well, literally my plan when I did this exact thing when I joined a table game down the road is I bought a 4 thing of beer and drank them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just helped me get chatting to people because I am actually really shy and nervous. Like I really am.
Yeah, I'm alright.
So when it came to that, if 2 beers is the minimum I need to be where I can just open up and just be normal, and that helps me. I got chatting to people and things like this, and it turns out actually that game sucked because all of the fucking players ended up chatting all the time, and I hated it. But yeah, I mean that's what I would say. Have 2 beers before you go in. Bring some beers for the people playing, and also get a linked backstory. That's my advice that I made up. I stole James's one. Yeah, I also think one technique I've had where I've joined in progress games, and this has mainly been online, was that I played a character who was essentially there to help the other characters. Because if you're going to come in, right, and do it in a jokey way, like 100% do it in a jokey way, but like make sure that your character you're bringing in is like comically shit in some way, like where because all these characters got these backstories, they think they're really fucking important. Suddenly this pretender's come in, right? What if he's the guy that is just doing help shit like a whole time, right? Not necessarily a cleric, but as the bard is shooting arrows, you're handing him extra ones, giving him advantage. Do you know what I mean? Like shit like that. Just be that guy who makes himself useful.
Or something.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, the torchbearer is a good idea. I did do that in a DCC campaign that I entered.
Also, like the Pathfinder campaign.
Yeah, but that was, one that I entered midway through.
Oh,
and it got me in with the group straight away because they were sort of like, well, this guy's proving to be really fucking useful. Do you know what I mean?
And then the players were talking to you more and that, innit?
Exactly, because they're then ordering your character around. Suddenly you've become an integral part of the group. It doesn't have to be like a comically shit thing, but it could also just be you're a cleric. Oh, I've got a higher armor class. I'm going to provide cover by ducking down in front of him. Like shit like that. Just make yourself useful, and then you'll quickly become a part of the team that they can't really do without. But how to assert dominance? What are we talking here?
Go in, be overly courageous, storm around, and
well, somebody said treat it like a prison, but also you could do that where you just go in and the biggest guy's character sheet, you make a character bigger than that guy. So you kind of go with the prison idea, but you're going a different twist. So you go, right, who's the warrior on this team? And you maybe cheat a bit, get better stats than him, and then as soon as he's about to take an action, just go, fuck that, pick up a sheet, put it on the floor and go, I'm the warrior.
If this guy wants to
sit in the GM's chair, get there early, sit in his chair with a screen in front of you, and then the GM, he's like, that's my seat, I'm GMing, like, not anymore, bitch. Sit down and get this fucking 0 level.
No, if this guy wants a serious answer, though...
to assert dominance, do you think he wants a serious answer to that?
I mean, like, just as a laugh, I thought I'd provide a serious answer.
Yeah, that'd be a laugh.
Posture, like, I mean, like, just, like, stick your chest out, put your head forward, look forward.
Bicep curled at all points. Lift weights.
And then, like, talk like Will Ferrell from Anchorman, innit?
I am hitting the goblin!
Yeah, a bit like...
fucking hell.
Good morning, California! Yeah, lift weights while you're doing it, especially because, James, you're quite swole.
Yeah, mate.
So you could get away with that. Lift some weights. Like,
lift the table, mate.
Just act very much... Yeah, that's a good one. Just bicep curl the table. Act as if all of this is beneath you. That you're actually... I could be out shagging birds, but I'm here playing this.
Well, like, that's not true, though, is it?
No, it isn't true, but that's why you really got you're a certain dominance, right? And let's be honest, you're a neckbeard. You probably are. not Greg, man, but, anyone. Good, we've answered that. Tizer Man, he says, if each of the 3Ds could design an RPG challenge, Dungeon 23, etc., what would the challenge be? So for those that don't know, Dungeon 23 is this thing where people are doing a room of a dungeon a day for a year, right? We've got a thing on our Discord server where people are posting their rooms that they've done. Some of them are really fucking good. And really good for just grabbing ideas, actually, and stealing them wholesale. So, but yeah, if you guys could design an RPG-based challenge, what would it be?
What about something like, like they do on Twitch, where they do Twitch plays Pokemon?
Yeah,
But loads of people could chip in and do like character
oh, that's a good idea.
yeah.
Yeah, so you have Twitch rolls out the characters, right, using simple Twitch bots. And then to decide what those characters do, everyone puts in their thing in the chat, and maybe either it picks randomly or the highest ones get voted. Hit orc or whatever. That's a great one, man. That's a really good idea.
Thanks.
So a while back, I did one of those 48-hour game jams for video games because a mate of mine's boyfriend is a game developer. And I would like to see something like that. And I know they already do it, listeners. I'm not a fucking idiot, right? But with those dungeon challenges, it's always create an RPG product in 24 hours, and it's always a one-page dungeon, or it's always a one-page RPG. And I would like to see one come up with a full system in a week, or something like that.
Like sort of a lock-in for a week, innit?
Yeah, like a lock-in for a week where everyone has to come up with an RPG, a full RPG.
Just like a steady stream of Deliveroo's coming to the house and that.
Oh, so then the smell of guff in there is going to be foul.
I feel like it could be similar to that, but try and create a product that isn't a one sheet, but that is modern, perhaps, and can be more useful to players than they think. Because I saw, I think there was some advertisements reaching out to me to get. You can get these D6s that you embed inside other dice, and then they link up to your phone or your system that you're using, like Roll20, so that when you roll your dice with that inside it in real life, it will roll that dice on the screen and digitalise it for the GM and players.
What's this got to do with the dungeon challenge, though?
So it's because you are saying create a new system completely by within a week as a challenge, as a dungeon challenge, and mine's like to create like a new piece of RPG tech as well within.
That's
a
also a
certain
nice
time
idea.
frame.
That's a really good idea.
That's a very good idea. Draw the sexiest elf competition.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that is going to be it for questions. Some very good ones this time. Some very thought-provoking ones. But I do have to go in a minute. So, unfortunately, we got some other questions as well. We'll address them in the next episode because they were really fucking good. Such as, can I smoke my DCC books? No, we answered that one. But let's do an outro, shall we?
Yeah.
That muffin is looking awfully like a hamster. Someone baked a hamster into my muffin.
Sean.
Yeah.
Making us think
Yeah.
about your place on the cast.
Yeah, really. I mean, we're thinking of bringing Nick back, and he hasn't played an RPG in 2 years. That is how badly you fucked up. You fucked up.
I'm pretty sure Nick doesn't exist anymore, though. Like,
Oh, because he's left your life, you bloody narcissist.
We're playing with him on Tuesday.
We're playing Alien on Tuesday with him. Why you always got to be so out of order to Nick every day, bitch?
Without,
How likely is it is
can't
that
just
that's
like make a
getting right?
joke.
You can't make jokes.
Well,
You're fucked up.
Well, yeah, I did, and
Been watching Uncle Roger, if you can't tell, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
it's good. But
Yeah. I think that was a good episode. I think James and I honestly, James, I think you
knocked it out of the park.
knocked it out of the park. Absolutely smashed it. I mean, you've really
Well
outdone
done,
yourself
James.
there, mate.
Well done.
Some great tips.
So what are you guys saying on what I did?
Well, once you do something, then we'll be able to give an opinion, Sean. But this
There's
time,
a lot left to the imagination.
a lot,
Oh, yeah.
like a lot,
That's good,
like
though.
a really a lot.
That's good. Like Pulp Fiction, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know what's in the box? Oh no, that's already been.
smoke splifftion. Right, James, hit us with our socials.
So we've got many socials out there. All you could really do is just take a peep out of there. Go into Google, type in the 3TRPG pod. But you know what's the main ones? The main ones are the Facebook. Yeah, that's probably our most one that's up to date. But if you really want to get ingrained, why not look at our Discord channel, join it, chat to the like-minded idiots that are in there because they follow us and they're twats. But also you can take a look at
probably really annoying.
SoundCloud. You can take a look at Podbean. Yeah. But you can also do freetrpgpod@gmail.com as well.
Wait, I'm recommending this to a friend, yeah? Because if you don't,
then
we will stop.
we're gonna start vinegaring you like Sean.
if you don't, we're just gonna have Sean do the show on his own, right? And that's gonna be about 5 minutes of him saying, "Yeah, I agree with James."
How do you know that, man?
Yeah, and if you can, please donate to us on Patreon and check out the RPG products
Please.
on Drive for RPG.
Please donate on Patreon.
Please,
My BMW needs a new wheel.
please send me some praise because
This is pretty bad.
Harrison and James are busting my chops.
He's really busting my chops, man. I did nothing, and yet I'm out of ideas.
It's hard life, man.
All right, that was a good one. I
Cheers,
think.
guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.